questions 1 through 4 of the 2000 grade 12 Euclid math contest. The first one right here, if x plus 27 to the power of 1/3 is equal to 125 to the power of 1/3, what is the value of x? So we have x plus 27 to the power of 1/3 is equal to 125 to the power of 1/3. Whenever you have the power of 1/3, it essentially means the cube root, not the square root, but the cube root. So there is basically the way you would write that. So what is a cube root? Well, it's a number that if you multiplied it by itself 3 times, like 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. So if you were to take the cube root of 8, it would be 2, like that. So the cube root of 27 is 3, and the cube root of 125 is 5. Because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, and 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So solving for this, we get x equal to 2. Next question. The line y equals ax plus c is parallel to the line y equals 2x and passes through the point 1,5. What is the value for c? All right. So we have basically a situation where you've got 2 lines. So if this is our xy coordinate system, we've got 2 lines and they're both parallel. That's what the question tells you. And we have no idea where they are, so I'll just draw them in. There's the first line and there's the second line. Okay? So this is our y and this is our x. The first line, they say, is y equals ax plus c. And the second line is y equals 2x. All right. Well, if the second line is y equals 2x, then that means it passes through the origin. It's like that. So this line here, the blue one, is y equals 2x. Now they've told you that both of those lines are parallel, so that helps us a lot because that means both those lines have the same slope. And remember, the equation of a line is of the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. So this line, what is the slope? M in this case is 2. And therefore, in this line, the slope has to be the same. So therefore, a in this case would be 2. Because in the equation of a line, this number right here represents the slope. So now we have y equals ax plus c, but we know that a is 2, the slope is 2. So there you go. That's part of the equation so far. Now we have to figure out c, and how we do that is by substituting that point in, because this line passes through that point. So let's do that. 1,5 is the point that I have to substitute. So y is 5 and x is 1, like that, and therefore 5 minus 2 is equal to c. C is equal to 3. And that is what they were asking. What is the c? Right there. Now we move on to the next question. The parabola y is equal to x minus 2 squared minus 16 has a vertex at A and intersects the x-axis at B. As shown, determine the equation for the line passing through AB. Okay, so first let's draw a line passing through AB. So the line will be something like this, like that. All right, and they want you to find that line's equation. Now that line, because it's a straight line, its equation will be of this form, y equals mx plus b. So eventually we're going to have to find m and b, and once we do, we will be completed the question. Now let's first turn our attention to this parabola that they drew. The equation of a parabola can be written in this form. Y is equal to a x minus h squared plus k. And hk represents the vertex. All right? Now the good news is they've already given you the parabola in that form, so we don't need to put it in that form. They've done that for you already. So therefore, what is the vertex in this particular parabola? It is 2 minus 16, just based on this standard relationship. So that means that this a right here has the coordinates 2 minus 16. Okay? So that's done. Now we want to figure out b, and if we have that, we'll be able to figure out the equation of the line. Well, b looks like a x-intercept. So how do we figure out the x-intercept? You set y to 0, correct? So find x-intercept, set y to 0. So 0 would be equal to x minus 2 squared minus 16. And that means x minus 2 squared is equal to 16. And therefore x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus 4. And therefore x is equal to, I believe, 6 and minus 2. Yeah. So that means that obviously b is going to be the 6, 0. And then the other one is minus 2 right there, that point right there, minus 2, 0. All right, perfect. So now we have everything that we need to figure out the equation of the line. We really just needed 2 points, and we have that. 6, 0, and 2 minus 16. 6, 0, and 2, what did I write there? Yeah, 2 minus 16. Those are our 2 points. And we may not even need both, but that's okay. Let's go with this. Y is equal to mx plus b. Let's start with the first point. So when y is 0, x is equal to 6. So that means 6m plus b is equal to 0. Okay? And now let's use the other point. Same kind of story. Minus 16 is equal to m times 2 plus b. So that means minus 16 is equal to 2m plus b. And we can isolate in both of these equations b. So from this one you get b is equal to minus 6m. And from this one you get b is equal to minus 16 minus 2m. All right? Let's set both those b's equal to each other. Minus 6m is equal to minus 16 minus 2m. And therefore this looks like add 2m to both sides. Minus 4m is equal to minus 16. Therefore m is equal to 4. So that means y is equal to 4x plus b. And b we can get by substituting m equals 4 into this equation right there. B is minus 6 times m. So b is minus 6 times 4, and therefore b is equal to minus 24. So there you have it. Y is equal to 4x minus 24. That's the equation of the line that they asked for. Six identical pieces are cut from a board, as shown in the diagram. The angle of each cut is x degrees. The pieces are assembled to form a hexagonal picture frame as shown. What is the value of x? Okay, so let's see here. Do we need to expand this or make this larger? Sure. All right, so I made it a bit bigger, and essentially you can see that this piece right here, right there, is this piece right here, correct? And then similarly all the other pieces, they piece together to make that shape. So if this angle is x, this angle is x also right there. Right there, this is x as well. And then similarly, they take this piece and they place it here, like that. And therefore, that angle is, this is x and this is x. So therefore, this angle here is x and this angle is here is x, and so on. It just keeps going round and round like that. You get the idea. Now, they've told you in the question that it is a hexagonal picture. And if you remember, all the hexagons have the same property. They have 6 sides, of course. That's why it's called a hexagon. And the sum of the interior angles is equal to 720. That's a property of hexagons. So how many interior angles are there in a hexagon? I'll do it over here at the bottom. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of those angles. And therefore, each angle will be equal to 720 divided by 6. And that is 120. So in this diagram up top, what is one example of an interior angle? Well, this is an interior angle. This one, this one, this one, this one, and that one, right? Now concentrate on this interior angle that I've pointed the arrow at. What does it equal in terms of x? 2x, correct? But we know that each interior angle is 120. So there you go. 2x equals 120, x is equal to 60. And that's all they wanted us to figure out. Second question, part B, I should say. If the log of x to the base 10 equals 3 plus log of y to the base 10, what is the value of x over y? So I've got log of x to the base 10 equals 3 plus log of y to the base 10, like that. So let's put the logs on the same side. Minus, like that. And then there's a fundamental property that I hope you remember, that if you have the log of, say, a minus the log of b, it equals the log of a over b, like that. So using that property, this would become the log of x over y. Correct? So now, what does this mean? Well, that means that 10 to the power of 3 is equal to x over y. And 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. So x over y is equal to 1,000. And that is what they wanted us to figure out. All right? Now let's turn our attention to part C. If x plus 1 over x is 13 over 6, determine all values of x squared plus 1 over x squared. Okay? So first, of course, let's start with this one. X plus 1 over x is equal to 13 over 6. So we're obviously going to have to get a common denominator. X on the top like that. So we get x squared plus 1 over x is equal to 13 over 6. Cross multiply at this point. 6x squared plus 6 is equal to 13x. And this looks like a quadratic equation. 6x squared minus 13x plus 6 is equal to 0. And I don't think this factors, so maybe it does. But I can't see the factor, to be honest. So I'm just going to use the quadratic formula. So we have x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. like that, all over 2a. So this is 13 plus or minus 169 minus 36 times 4, so 144. And that is over 12. So this becomes 13 plus or minus square root of 25 over 12, and therefore this is 13 plus or minus 5 over 12. And that gives you values of 18 over 12 and 8 over 12, like that. And these, of course, reduce to 3 over 2 and 2 over 3. So those are our two values of x. But x is not what they want us to figure out. They want us to figure out this one here. X squared plus 1 over x squared. So find this. All right. Shouldn't be a problem. First, let's start with this guy here, 3 over 2. So we have 3 over 2 squared plus 1 over 3 over 2 squared, like that. And this is 9 over 4 plus 1 over 9 over 4. So that one you'll have to invert and multiply it, and it becomes 4 over 9. So 9 over 4 plus 4 over 9, common denominator, 9, 9, 4, 4. This becomes 81 plus 16 over 36. And that is 97 over 36. 97 is a prime number, right? So that means this is in lowest terms. So I can't reduce that anymore. All right, let's now do the next one. X squared plus 1 over x, using our value now 2/3, like this. So let's see what this gives us. So this would be 4 over 9 plus 1 over 4 over 9. And this would be 4 over 9 plus 9 over 4. And this looks very familiar. It's the exact same as this one, actually. So if you do common denominator, 4, 4, 9, and 9, 16 plus 81 over 36. And it's the same. All right. So I guess we found both values, and both values are identical. So 97 over 36 is the value of that expression. A circle with diameter AB is shown. Intersects the positive the positive y-axis at point D0D, determine D. All right. So I'll blow it up. So there you go. Now let's try to understand this. First, you have a circle, and the diameter is AB. So this is the diameter of the circle. And then this circle intersects the y-axis at this point D, right there. And the coordinates are 0D. Obviously, it's on the y-axis, so the x value would be 0. And they want you to figure out D. So the first thing I think I'm going to need to do is identify where's the center of the circle. Approximately on the diagram, approximately here, right there, that little black dot. But I want to know the coordinates. I don't just want to put in a dot. So I guess because we have 2 points, we can just find the midpoint. So how am I going to figure out the coordinates of the center? Well, it shouldn't be too hard. From here to here is 8, right? And from here to here is 2. So that whole diameter is essentially equal to 10, correct? And therefore the radius has to be 5. So this point, the center has to be 5 from 8. So 8 minus 5, which is 3. So the center, I'll label it C, has to be 3, 0, like that. That is the coordinates of the center. Now what we need to do is figure out D. That is what the question's asking. So how do I figure out D? D is this distance right here from the top point D all the way to the x-axis. I guess I can use Pythagoras by using that triangle. So this is a triangle that has a right angle, and this line right here that I will shade in yellow from here to here represents what? It's the radius, r, like that. And then from here to here, the base, that one we know, and then this on the side is d, which is what we're trying to figure out. So if I draw it a little bit bigger, because I know the diagram's kind of small, I'm just drawing that triangle so I can label it a little bit more clearly. The hypotenuse is r, right? It's just the radius of the circle, and we figured out that the radius is 5 up here. The base from here to here is 3, because C, that coordinate, which is the center, is 3, 0. And this side right here is what we want to figure out. That is D, essentially on the y-axis. So this shouldn't be too bad. D squared plus 3 squared is equal to 5 squared, because this was a right angle. That's, of course, very important. Otherwise, this wouldn't work. D squared, therefore, is 25 minus 9. D squared is equal to 16, and therefore D is equal to 4. And that's what they want you to figure out. Part B. A square PQRS with side length x is subdivided into 4 triangular regions as shown, so that the area of A plus the area of B is equal to the area of C. If PT is 3, RU is 5, determine the value of x. So let's start labeling everything that we know. They've actually labeled everything for us, which is very good. But I need to label a few more things. I need to label this guy here, T to S. Well, if the whole region is X, and this is 3, then T to S is going to be X minus 3. And similarly on this side, the whole side is equal to X, and this U to R is 5, so therefore S to U is X minus 5. And I think that completes the labeling. Now we use the relationship that they gave us in the equation, or in the question stem, that is the area of A plus the area of B is equal to the area of C. And then we will just use our 1/2 base times height equation to figure out the area of a triangle. So the area of A is 1/2 base times height. The base is 3, and the height is X. The triangle B, 1/2 base times height, the base is X, and the height is 5. And finally, C, 1/2 base times height, the base is X minus 3, and the height is X minus 5. So this is the equation we have to solve. So let's solve this now. This looks like 3x over 2 plus 5x over 2 is equal to 1/2 times x squared minus 8x plus 15, like that. And then I will multiply everything through by 2 to get rid of that half. So this will just become 8x, and this will just be x squared minus 8x plus 15, like this. Bring the 8x over, and you'll get x squared minus 16x plus 15 is equal to 0. And I believe this factors, so I don't have to use our quadratic. X 15, 1 minus minus. There you go. So x is equal to either 1 or 15. Well, which one is it? Well, I don't think x can equal 1, right? Because this side here was 5, And x is obviously greater than 5, so x can't be 1. So the only possibility is x is equal to 15. So that is the correct answer. There you go. Okay, 4. Let's concentrate on 4a first. A die with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 on its 6 faces is rolled. After this roll, if an odd number appears on the top face, all odd numbers on the die are doubled. If an even number appears on the top face, all the even numbers are halved. If the given die changes in this way, what is the probability that a 2 will appear on the second roll? All right, so first let's try to understand what this question is saying. So you've got a die, and as you all know, most dies usually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this particular die has the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. All right? And they're saying in the first part that when you roll this die, if you get an odd number, then all the odd numbers on the die are doubled. So if you get an odd number, how do you get an odd number? There's only 2 possibilities. So if you get a 1 or a 3, all odd numbers on the die are doubled. So the numbers would basically double. It would become 2 instead of 1, and the 3 would double to become a 6. All right, it's some sort of a magic die, I guess. And the rest stay the same because they're only concerned with changing the odd numbers at this point. So the other numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8 remain the same. So this is what happens in the first scenario. Then they say if an even number appears on the top face, all the even numbers are halved. So the second condition says if you get a 2, a 4, or a 6, or an 8 when you roll the die, all the even numbers are halved. So the 2 would become a 1, the 4 would become a 2, the 6 would become a 3, and the 8 would become a 4, and the odd numbers stay the same in this scenario. All right, so this is what the question essentially said. Now they're asking, if the given die changes in this way, what is the probability that a 2 will appear on the second roll of the die? All right, so let's figure this out. They want us to figure out the probability that a 2 will appear on the second roll. All right, so there's 2 ways that we can do this. So let's do the first way, which is this one right here. You roll the dice on the first roll, and you get an odd number. And the probability of that is what? There's only 2 odd numbers out of the 6, so therefore the probability of rolling an odd is 2 out of 6. Correct? So then, the second roll would involve a die with those numbers, because this magic die changes according to the conditions in the stem. Now I'm going to roll the die with these numbers, and I want a 2. How do I get a 2? What's the probability? Well, there's 2 of them out of 6 possible numbers. So the probability of getting a 2 on the second roll is not 2 out of 6, but I have to multiply it because this condition has to happen first. So therefore this becomes 4 over 36. All right? So that's part of it. That's 1/2 of the question. The second half is right here. And this scenario happens if you roll an even die. So on the first roll in that scenario, how do I get an even number? What's the probability? Well, it's 4 chances out of 6 numbers. So there you go. That's the probability of getting an even. And then once I get an even, this magic die all of a sudden changes into those numbers. And now I want a 2 on my second roll. And how do I get a 2? Well, there's only 1 out of 6 chances. And to get the probability, I have to multiply these, so this becomes 4 out of 36. And the total, I have to then add these. So I got 4 out of 36 plus 4 out of 36, and that becomes 8 over 36, which reduces to 2 out of 9. So this is the probability that the 2 will appear on the second roll. The table below gives the final standings for 7 of the teams in the English Cricket League in 1998. At the end of the year, each team had played 17 matches and had obtained the total number of points shown in the last column, right here. Each win, each draw, D, each bonus bowling point A, and each bonus batting point B received W, D, A, and B points respectively, where W, D, A, and B are positive integers. No points are given for a loss. Determine the values of W, D, A, and B if the total points awarded are given by the formula points is equal to small w times big W plus small d times big D plus small a times big A plus small b times big B. All right. So we have four variables that they want us to determine the values of. And generally speaking, if you want to figure out the value of a certain number of variables, you need that number of equations. So 4 variables, we'll need 4 equations. So since we only need 4 equations, I will just concentrate on the first 4. We don't need any more than that in terms of equations. So let's make the equations based on Sussex, Warks, Somme, and Derbies. So this is the equation right here. They've given it to us, so just follow that. For the first one, for Sussex, 201 points is equal to 6W plus 4D plus 30A plus 63B. All right? And just using the formula that they gave me. Nothing fancy. The second one, Warks, is going to be 200 is equal to 6W plus 3D plus 35A plus 60B. Somme is going to be 192 is equal to 6W plus 4D plus 30A plus 54B. And finally, Derbies is 191 is equal to 6W plus 4D plus 28A plus 55B. All right, there you go. These are our equations, and I'll call them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have to now manipulate them to solve for A, B, D, and W. So first thing, I'm going to try to eliminate something as much as possible. And it looks like 1 and 3 are very similar, so I can just subtract them. I hope you can see that also. So this becomes 2001 minus 192. And if you take 1 and subtract from it 3, everything cancels except the b's. So you get 63b minus 54b. And then this becomes 9 is equal to 9b, and therefore b is equal to 1. Great. So we got one of the variables. Now I'm going to do 1 minus 4. That should be helpful. So this becomes 2001 minus 191 is equal to, the W's go, the D's go, the A's don't go yet. We get 30A minus 28A, and we get 63B minus 55B, like that. But B we know, so this becomes 2A. So 63 times 1 minus 55 times 1. And this is 10. So we've got 2a, this is 10, 63 minus 55 is 8. So therefore 2a is equal to 2 and a is equal to 1. All right, so we are moving right along here. Next one, I think we'll do 1 minus 2. So 1 minus 2 is 2001 minus 200 is equal to, looks like d minus 5a and 3b. Like that. So this is 1, d, a we know is 1, and b we know is 1. And therefore this becomes 1d minus 5 plus 3. Put everything on one side and you'll get d is equal to 3. Great. And now we've got it all except w, so you can just substitute all into w. We'll just put it all into 1, I guess. So the first equation was 6w plus 4d plus 30a plus 63b equals 2001. And we just substitute that into this equation. So 4 times 3 plus 30 times 1 plus 63 times 1 is equal to 201, sorry, like that, 201. So this gives you 6w plus 12 plus 30 plus 63 is equal to 2001. 6w, put everything on one side, and it'll give you 96, and therefore w is equal to 16. So there you go. And I think that's all the question was asking. Determine the values of w, d, a, and b. So we have those values. We have b is equal to 1, a is equal to 1, d is equal to 3, and w is equal to 16.